You know, I get asked all the time about what kind of role genetics play in what you're actually able to do with your body. And I am not an authority on genetics, so, I'm not going to get real scientific here, but, you only need an elementary understanding of how some of that kind of stuff works to be able to get the point across. Everybody is a little bit different, all right? We're all human, all right? You should all be eating whole, natural food, first of all right? That just levels the playing field. That's the great equalizer. We all run on the same fuel, so making sure you have the right fuel. But, in terms of what your body will let you do, you've got some people who generally carry a little bit more weight. They tend to be a little more padded, if you will, all right? I belong to that end of the spectrum, and so do a number of my clients, and the head trainer and training manager at my gym, CJ. We the downside is it's easy to gain fat, it's harder to stay lean, but it's real easy to gain muscle, right? And then on the whole other opposite end of the spectrum, you've got these hard gainers, these skinny dudes or ladies who are wanting to get a little bit more muscle tone and some size to them and have some definition, actually have a tight, hard body. And it's hard for them to gain muscle mass, but it's really easy to stay lean. So it's like this cruel little trick genetics plays on you. But you can't allow that to be an excuse. Let me tell you from personal experience, you can't go against the grain either. You can for a season, for a period of time. If you see some pictures of me back when I first started Bodysmith, I was a lean bean, man. I was ripped up. I was, I was athletic. I mean, I probably didn't weigh but 167 pounds at my lightest, and I was most of the time around 176. That's really small for a guy like me, and it took me a long time and a lot of frustration, a lot of failure to finally get to a place where I'm like, you know what? I'm not that guy. I'm not this little narrow beanpole kind of guy. My body loves muscle, and it's easier for me to stay lean when I have a ton of muscle that my body has to feed with what I eat. My caloric intake has to be partitioned differently to repair that muscle that I'm building. So you kind of have to figure out where you are on the spectrum and understand sort of what your body type is before you can answer that question and before you can use genetics as an excuse. So if you are real narrow framed, I've got broader shoulders, all right? If you have very narrow shoulders and you're more, straight up and down kind of build to start with, you're not going to look like Arnold Schwarzenegger. You have to hang that up, man. You can look like the best version of yourself. You can be narrow and have some meat on you, some tight, dense, lean muscle tissue. That's fantastic. So you got to shoot for that. You can't set yourself up for this outcome that's really unattainable for you, but you can't allow it to be an excuse either. See how that's two sides of the coin there? You can't allow it to prevent you from taking action and trying to move in the direction that you want to go, but you need to also be realistic with what your body actually wants to do, where its sweet spot is, okay? And then, of course, the other side is somebody who is who's a little bit bigger, broader, brawnier dude. If you try to look like, Brad Pitt in Fight Club, get out of here, dude. It ain't going to happen, all right? I'm not saying you can't get as shredded and lean. It's going to be harder to maintain. It's just going to be harder to maintain. And it's especially going to be hard to maintain if that is your main focus and your main driver, is to be that small. If you focus on what your body can do and you play to your body's strengths and you put on some size, it's going to be easier to stay that lean when you get there. So that's my spiel on genetics and how they play a role. So don't let it be an excuse and keep you from taking action. But, pay attention. Figure out what your body wants, what direction it can go in. Play to your strengths.